Hi, today I'm going to go over a taping technique for lateral epicondylitis using Kinesiotape or rock tape. So I'm going to go through, it's going to take two strips. Usually they'll come in pre-cut strips. If you get the KT tape, you may have to adjust the size of them, especially for the shorter piece that I'm going to get. So the first piece I want is going to be pretty short. Because what I want is that I want it to go around my forearm like this, but I don't necessarily want the ends to connect to make a band around my forearm. So this actually may be even a little bit long for me. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to rip the back of the tape because the paper will rip and the tape will stretch. And I'm just going to give myself a little tab so I don't have to touch the adhesive of the tape. Now typically that pain is going to be right up towards this top of the forearm. So what I want to do is I want to stretch the tape just below that point where the pain is to try and offload the pressure that goes to that point when I'm doing repetitive activities with my wrist or hand. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to lay it right below where that pain is. And I'm going to start off going kind of inside my forearm. And I'm just going to rub that tape on like this. Okay? Now I'm going to fold this back so I get some of the paper off. For a hairy arm, this might not be the most comfortable thing in the world to take off, but you know, the benefits versus the pain. Now I'm going to lay this on here without any tension. And once I get towards where the symptoms generally are, which is this top of my forearm, at that point I'm going to put a pretty strong stretch on the tape. So I'm going to pull pretty hard here. About as hard as the tape will let me, taking all the stretch out of it, and I'm going to lay it back towards the back of my elbow. And once I get there, I can let go. And then this end point, I'm just going to lay on my arm again. So what's nice about this tape is that you can pick certain points to stretch it, and at the ends I typically don't stretch it because it'll irritate the skin. And then I would rub it on to keep it on there. Now for the sake of the hair on my arm, I'm going to take this off right now, but you would leave this on, obviously. Okay, now the next piece, I'm going to make longer. Okay? I would say you want it to go from the back of your hand just above your elbow. You're going to stretch the tape a little. So a good rule would be you probably want this to be from your fingertips to maybe like 3/4 of the way towards your elbow. So if I measure this up, I'm probably going to go to about right here. And then once again, I'm going to cut this strip of tape. Okay. And similar to what I did before, I'll tear a little edge of the paper off so I don't have to touch the adhesive. And for this one, I'm just going to lay my arm down with my wrist in somewhat of a neutral position, and I'm going to put this on the back of my hand. Okay, so I'm just going to lay this on just below my knuckles. Now I want this tape to pretty much run the length of this muscle, so it's pretty much going to come right up through that outside of my forearm towards that point in the elbow that hurts. So I want to keep my wrist neutral or even a little bit extended, so I'm putting slack on that muscle. Similar to the other way that I did the cross piece, I'm going to just peel this paper back a little bit so I have a little bit of a tab of paper and tape to hold on to. And I'm going to start with I have the option with this tape of changing how much I stretch it. So I could pull the life out of this and pull as hard as I could. For this, I'm going to put a very gentle amount of tension. So just enough to where I feel there's a little bit of spring in the tape, right? And then I'm just going to start to lay it on here. And then I'll peel a little bit more paper off. And same thing, just a gentle stretch as I lay it on here, going right back towards that point on my elbow. And then right as I get towards where that discomfort typically is, I'm going to stop stretching, right? And I didn't really stretch much on the way up here. And then I'll just peel this off and smooth that over top of my arm. So the idea now is that when I go to put tension on that point of my elbow, this tape kind of gives me a little support, right? Because I put the tape on with my wrist extended. Typically these kinds of positions put pressure on it, so it should offload that tendon attachment a little bit. So you would have this long strip, and then that strip, that piece that I put across, forming like a lowercase t on your forearm.